Hi, for this video, we are going to talk about the general characteristics of the graph of quadratic functions. So we will examine the characteristics of the graph of four quadratic functions. So these are the four types of quadratic functions that we will examine the characteristics of their graph. So this is the first one. And then this is the second one. This is the third one, which is quadratic functions in its vertex form. And then the last one is quadratic functions in their standard form, or standard form of quadratic functions. Okay? So, yeah. Sila yung apat na i-observe natin yung characteristics ng graph. Okay? So, let's move here. So in this part, naglagay lang ako ng konting introduction, and then let's take a look at the picture. So itong picture na yan, nilagay ko yan dahil may purpose siya, hindi lang siya for design purposes. So itong picture na to is related sa direction ng parabola. So, di ba, I already discussed last time na parabola is what we call to the graph of quadratic functions, di ba? So, itong picture na to, it tells us yung direction ng parabola. Ang direction ng parabola, it's either upwards or downwards lang. So, the first one, ganito, may rule siya eh. Para natin malalaman kung yung parabola will open upwards or will open downwards. So, it depends yan sa coefficient ng quadratic term, which was represented by the variable a. Okay, di ba yung quadratic term, kapag nakikita natin, yan yung ax squared sa quadratic function. Yan yung quadratic term, di ba? So, si letter a, depende sa kanya, sa value niya, kung ano yung opening ng parabola or yung direction ng parabola. So, sabi dito sa una, kapag daw si A is greater than 0, meaning si A is greater than 0, yes, meaning si A ay positive number, okay, such as 1, 2, 3, kasi mas mataas daw siya sa 0, therefore positive numbers yun. Therefore, ang opening daw ng parabola will be upward, just like this picture, or a happy face, a positive smile. Okay? Ganun yung opening ng parabola kapag si A ay mas mataas sa 0 or kapag si A is a positive number. Kapag naman si A daw is less than 0, meaning si A ay isang negative number. Kasi di ba kapag A is less than 0, it involves negative numbers such as negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we have a negative round, and then the opening of the parabola will be downwards. Okay? So, kapag positive si A, ang opening ng parabola ay upwards. Kapag negative si A, ang opening ng parabola ay downwards. So, halimbawa, pag sinabi natin we have 3x squared. So, we have 3 as the coefficient of the quadratic term. Therefore, alam na natin na yung opening ng parabola will be upward. Bakit upward? Kasi 3 is positive number, di ba? Therefore, the parabola will open upwards. Kasi positive yung coefficient ng quadratic term mo, which is 3. Kapag naman yan, ginawa kong negative 2x squared, the parabola will open downwards. Bakit downwards? Kasi negative yung a mo, which is si A mo, less than siya sa 0. Negative number siya. Therefore, the parabola will open downwards. So, that is how this pictures works. Now, hindi lang siya nilagay dyan for, para ma-take up yung space niya, no? May purpose siya. So, it is actually the explanation for the direction or the opening of your parabola. Now, let's examine the first form of quadratic function that we will examine for this video. So, this is the first form of quadratic function. So, we have f of x is equal to ax squared. So, this is a type of quadratic function even though quadratic term lang yung given. Okay, this is still a type of quadratic function. And when we talk about this form of quadratic function, the vertex of this quadratic function is at the origin of the Cartesian plane or is at 0, 0. Yun yung sa origin, di ba? And then the axis of symmetry is x is equal to 0. By the way, x is the variable that is being used to represent axis of symmetry. And then we have 0 here. Okay? Kasi yung value ng axis of symmetry, you are going to base that on the value of the h here in the vertex. Kasi sa vertex, we have h, the variable h, sa unang number or sa unang term. And then we have the variable k sa pangalawang term. Yung axis of symmetry, equal siya doon sa value ng h. Okay? Dito sa form ng quadratic function na to. And then, next is the domain is the set of all real numbers. The domain must or should be written in set builder notation always. Same as the range, no? So, sa lahat po ng types of quadratic function, ang domain niya is x is the set of all real numbers. Ibig sabihin, kahit anong value ng x, pwede sa kanya. X is the set of all real numbers. All numbers that is under real numbers, except non-real numbers or imaginary numbers, can be the value of your x or of your domain. How about sa range? Sa range naman, we have a condition. At yung condition na yon is magbe-base din dun sa value ng ating coefficient dun sa quadratic term, which is yung a. So sabi, kapag daw si a is greater than 0, meaning kapag si a ay positive, ang range mo ay ito. Highlight natin. Kapag si a ay positive or kapag si a is greater than 0, your domain will be like this. The range is the set of all real numbers such that it is greater than or equal to 0. So, ganun. So, kapag si a ay greater than 0, your range is greater than or less than 0. So, same sila ng inequality. Okay? So, nagkaroon lang ng equal doon sa range. And then, if your a is less than 0, the range is like this. So, the range is the set of all real numbers such that it is less than or equal to 0. So, ganun yung mangyayari. So, how do we apply this characteristics? So, for example, magbibigay ako ng given. The given quadratic function is in this form. So, we have, let's say, f of x is equal to 2x squared. Let's say we have this quadratic function. So, of course, papahanapin ko una is yung vertex mo. Okay? So, ang vertex niya is always at the origin. 0, 0 po ang vertex niya. Ang axis of symmetry, hindi ko na sinulat ng buo, so we have AOS. Ang axis of symmetry mo is the value of your h sa vertex mo. So, we have x is equal to 0. So, kaya ko nilagyan ng or y-axis yan kasi yung axis of symmetry nandun siya mismo sa y-axis. Okay, kaya meron siya y-axis. Pero, if you will answer your activity, I am going to look for the value of x in the axis of symmetry. So, kailangan, hindi yung y-axis yung makita ko dyan. Kailangan ang nakalagay, x is equal to, and then yung value niya. The domain is the set of all real numbers. Okay? So, yan lang always in set builder notation. And then, yung range mo, you're going to look for the value of the coefficient of the quadratic term, no? So, dito, we have a positive coefficient. Therefore, a is greater than 0. Therefore, ang range mo ay y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to 0. So, yan yung range. And then, the last one that I am going to look for is the direction of the parabola. Okay? So, sa direction ng parabola, nakabase din sa sign ng coefficient ng quadratic term mo. In this case, we have a positive coefficient. Therefore, the parabola will open upwards. Okay? So, that is how you get these values, no? So, yun yung mga characteristics ng graph. Before mo kasi sila i-graph, you should know the values of these terms here. You should know what is the value of the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the domain, the range, and then the direction of the parabola before we move on to graphing or sketching the graph, okay? So, next, a form of quadratic function is this one. So we have f of x is equal to ax squared plus k. So nadagdagan siya ng another variable which is yung k. Okay? So these are the characteristics of this form of quadratic function. Okay? The vertex of this type of quadratic function is at 0 and then k. So, meaning yung value ng k yung ilalagay mo dito. Okay? And then the axis of symmetry is based on the value of h in your vertex. So, always po ito, we have h and then we have k. Again, kapag ganito yung form, yung h mo is 0, so therefore, the axis of symmetry mo is x is equal to 0 or at the y-axis. Okay, or simply x is equal to 0, yun lang na may hanapin ko. The domain, always siyang ganyan, the set of all real numbers. So, yung range mo is magkakaroon din ng basis. So, naka-base yung range mo again sa sign ng coefficient ng quadratic term mo sa a. Okay, paano po yun? Kapag yung a mo is positive, a is greater than 0, meaning ang range mo ay ito. So, y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to the value of your k. Kapag naman si a is negative or a is less than 0, ang range mo ay ito. Y is the set of all real numbers such that y is less than or equal to the value of your k. So, paano po natin ma'am yan i-apply? So, I will give an example again. Let's say I have f of x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 4. So, again, we will look for the vertex. Okay? So, v na lang ilalagay ko. We will look for your vertex. So, the vertex is 0 and then the value of your k. So, in this example, the value of your k is positive 4. So, therefore, that is 0 and then 4. Okay? And then next is the axis of symmetry, which is the value of your h here in your vertex. So, that is x is equal to 0. And then the domain is the set of all real numbers. And then your range is based on the sign of your coefficient here in the quadratic term. So dito, we have negative 3 as the value of our a. Therefore, a is less than 0. Kasi negative siya. Okay, a is less than 0. Therefore, the range is y is the set of all real numbers such that y is less than or equal to the value of your k, which is 4. So, yun yung range mo. Y is the set of all real numbers such that y is less than or equal to 4. And then lastly, the direction of the parabola is also based on the sign of your coefficient in the quadratic term. So, in this case, we have negative a. Negative yung a. Therefore, the parabola will open downwards. Next is the vertex form of quadratic functions, which is this one. Okay, so what are the characteristics of its graph? Okay, so the first one, its vertex is at h and k. So as you can see, here in the vertex form, nakikita niyo yung variables na h and k. So yun lang po yun, kukunin niyo. Pero we have conditions, di ba, na I already discussed with your last topic. And then the axis of symmetry is based on the value of your h. And then the domain is just the same, okay? The set of all real numbers. The range is based on the value of your a, no? Kapag si a is positive or a is greater than 0, your range is like this. So y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to your k, the value of your k. And then if your a is a negative number or a is less than 0, your range will become like this. Y is the set of all real numbers such that y is less than or equal to your k. So for you to be able to much understand this, I will give you an example. So let's say we have this quadratic function in vertex form. Let's say we have this. F of x is equal to quantity x minus 3 squared plus 5. And then again, we will look for first the vertex, the value of your vertex. So the vertex here, just like what I teach you last time, yung value ng h nyo ay ito, di ba? So, dito we have x minus 3. We have negative 3 technically. But then, when you get the value of the vertex, you're going to get the reverse sign of h. Okay? So, imbis na negative 3 yung ilalagay nyo, 3 yung ilalagay nyo. And then, yung k ninyo, kung ano yung sign niya, you're just going to go with that. So, dito we have positive 5. Therefore, your k is 5. Therefore, the vertex is 3 and 5. Okay? And then the axis of symmetry is x is equal to 3 kasi yung value ng h mo ay 3. So, yun yung axis of symmetry. The domain is the set of all real numbers. And then the range is based on the value of your A. So, dito, ang A kasi natin in vertex form, andito siya sa labas. Kapag walang A dyan, ibig sabihin, that is invisible 1. So, wala naman kayo nakikitang negative sign dito sa labas. Therefore, automatically, that is positive. Therefore, A is greater than 0 kasi positive siya. Therefore, ang range mo ay y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to the value of your k, which is 5. Okay, so y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to 5. And then the direction of the parabola is your a is positive, therefore the direction of the parabola is upwards. Last quadratic function that we will examine the characteristics of its graph is quadratic function in its standard form. So, ito yung standard form ng quadratic function. It's the same as the standard form of quadratic equation, but then it is equated by another variable, which is y or f of x. Okay? Y and f of x is just the same. So, ayan. And we will study its characteristics. So, first is its vertex. Yung vertex niya is this. So, bakit ganyan yung vertex niya? Kasi you are going to solve for the value of its vertex by using this formula. So, for you to be able to solve the value of h, you are going to use the formula negative b over 2a. I already discussed this last lesson, yeah, in lesson 11, if I'm not mistaken. And then for you to be able to find the value of k, you're going to use the formula 4ac minus b squared all over 4a. So you're going to list the values of a, b, and c, tapos you're going to substitute in this formula and then simplify for you to be able to find the vertex or the center. And then the axis of symmetry is the value of your h. So kaya ang nakalagay dyan is negative b over 2a. Kapag na-compute nyo na yun na yung axis of symmetry. And then the domain is always the set of all real numbers. And then the range is, may condition kasi siya. Again, according sa sign or sa value ng coefficient ng inyong quadratic term. So, pag si a is greater than 0, meaning pag si a ay positive, ang range mo ay ito. Y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to the value of your h or negative b over 2a. And then if the value of your a is less than 0, meaning si a ay isang negative number, your range will become like this. Y is the set of all real numbers such that y is less than or equal to the value of your h, or negative b over 2a. So, paano po yan, ma'am? I will give an example. Let's say we have this quadratic function in standard form. So we have x squared plus 2x plus 5. Okay, let's say we have that. So, we will compute for the vertex. Okay, baba natin itong presentation using this formula. For you to compute the value of the h, you're going to use this formula. We have negative b over 2a. Okay? So, but first of all, ilist muna natin yung values ng a, b, and c ng given na quadratic function natin. So, yung a natin, we have 1. Okay, invisible 1. B is equal to 2. C is equal to 5. Okay, may values na tayo. And then, baba muna natin para ma-solve natin yung vertex. And then, the second one is your K. Yung K, para ma-solve natin siya, we are going to use this formula. So, we have 4AC minus B squared all over 4a. Okay? So, first, let's solve the value of your h. So, the value of your h is negative, and then the value of b is 2. So, we have negative 2 there, all over 2 times the value of your a is 1. So, now we have negative 2 all over 2 times 1, that is equal to 2. Negative 2 over 2, that is simply negative 1. Okay, so yun na yung value ng h mo. You have now negative 1. Next is the value of your k. Again, substitution lang tayo. No? So we have 4, and then the value of your a is 1, c is 5, negative or minus b squared. So we have 2 squared all over 4 times 1. Then simplify lang natin sila. Okay, so 4 times 1 times 5, that is equal to 20, minus 2 squared, that is equal to 4, over 4 times 1 is 4. And then we have 20 minus 4, that is 16 over 4. 16 over 4 is simply 4. Okay? Now, you have your vertex. Okay, yung vertex mo ngayon, may value na. We have, what's that? Negative 1 and 4. So we have negative 1 and 4 there. So I'm just going to erase everything here. Yan. And then, the axis of symmetry is based on the value of your h, which is equal to negative 1. So ito yun. And then, your domain is the set of all real numbers. So, hindi po ito nagbabago yung domain. Okay? The set of all real numbers siya lagi. And then, yung range mo is depending on the sign of the coefficient in the quadratic term. So, dito, ang coefficient mo is positive. Okay? Wala kayong nakikitang coefficient, but that is invisible 1. Positive siya. Therefore, a is greater than 0. Ang range mo is y is the set of all real numbers such that y is greater than or equal to the value of your h, which is negative 1. So, yun yung range mo. And then, the direction of the parabola is based on the sign of your coefficient in the quadratic term again. So, we have positive, therefore, it will open upwards. So, that's it. That is the characteristics of the graph of different forms of quadratic functions.